Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another beer review. Tonight we're going to be trying something a little bit controversial. Tonight we are going to be trying BrewDog's Tactical Nuclear Penguin. If you've never heard of this beer before, it was all over the news. It was, when it was created a few years ago, it was all over tabloid newspapers here in England and was getting hailed as the demon of the beer world because this beer is actually 32% ABV. It's a very strong beer. This is the little brown paper bag that they send the beer bottle in, actually, and with a nice, wonderful little hand-drawn penguin, which I think is a really nice little touch. And also, you also get sent a little beer stopper as well, just to cork up the bottle. So, why did it cause controversy? Because it's 32%. It was held as like the demon of beer drinking world, that people would go out and buy a bottle of this and get smashed of it, like it wasn't something artisanal, like it wasn't something created to be sipped. And that's what this beer is created for. This beer costs as much as a good fine bottle of whiskey, and as it probably should. It's taken a lot of effort to get this beer to this percentage, and a lot of craft and care has been put into the beer. So, you know, don't listen to what the tabloids say about it. It's not the demon of the beer world. If this beer is designed to be sipped and to be enjoyed and to be savoured, and hopefully it'll be a really nice experience as well. Now it says on the back here, no penguins were harmed in the making of this beer. Some humans did get very, very cold though. It was worth it. The Antarctic name, inducing schizophrenia, of this uber-imperial stout originates from the amount of time it spent exposed to extreme cold. This beer was initially double barrel aged for 14 months, maturing in the deep, rich oak of Scottish whisky casks. After this epic maturation, the beer was then frozen again, and then frozen again. And BrewDog even put a little warning on it as well, saying this is a beer you enjoy in small little quantities. Just to reiterate the point. I've been really quite looking forward to this beer ever since I saw that a new batch was coming along. I ordered it straight away because I think there's so much you can do with the combination of water, malted barley, hops, and a bit of yeast. You know, there's a whole load of scope in the beer world that needs to be explored, and this was one of the pioneers, the first that kind of created the whole race to have the highest ABV. At its time, it was the strongest beer in the entire world. There's now been a couple more by BrewDog that have been stronger, and also another one that I forget the name of, but I think it's 50-something%. It's a ridiculously high ABV beer. So, without further ado, let's get this fella on open. I've already taken a little champagne cask on the top of it, but without further ado, I shall get it open. So there we go. We've opened up our little bowl. Pour it onto a little sherry glass I've got, because I'll only be trying a little bit, and we'll see what we have. As to be expected, there's just going to be absolutely no head on this, but if you can see, there is still a tiny bit of carbonation. There was a small little bit of foam just coming up there. It is absolutely pitch black, although having said that, if I hold it up to the light, there is quite a lot of red coming through, light coming through, and it's a nice red colour coming through the beer. I'm not sure if I hold it up as close as I can and hope it focuses. Can you see it's got the little, what do they call them? They'll call them wine lacing, I think, wine lacing. Of the can you see the alcohol down the side of the glass? It happens when you get high strength, you know, a lot of alcohol in a beverage. It forms this lacing down the sides of the glass, like little streaks, little threads. Wine threads, is it called? Something like that. You know, that's just testament to how strong this beer certainly is. Okay, so let's get a bit of a nose on it. Oh, it smells really rich, and it smells just like the deepest, darkest, chocolatey malts coming through. Not surprisingly, it smells very akin to a barley wine to my nose, because of the huge amount of malt and sugar that has to be in this to be for it to be able to get up to such a high ABV. But it's definitely like, it really does smell of chocolate. It hasn't compromised on the flavour of that. It seems to be almost like super distilled. It's almost like concentrated dark coke and bitter chocolate. And lovely warming alcohol nose on it as well. You can smell and even almost feel in the nose the alcohol and how warm and lovely that alcohol feels. So it's nothing particularly in hops coming through, so it's quite one-dimensional in terms of aroma. So, but I imagine the amount of hops you need to do, if you're going to have to put in as much malt as you need to get it to this percentage, you'd have to put in a ridiculous amount of hops as well, so maybe that won't come through on aroma. So, without further ado, let's try at its time, the strongest beer in the world. Cheers. By heck almighty. That will most certainly put some hairs on your chest, ladies and gentlemen. Heck. First things first, the flavour is actually unbelievably complicated. I'm getting layers and layers of flavour. Every few seconds there was like a change in flavour as I was drinking it. Just bear with me, I'll have another try and see if I can get some kind of chronology of it. So the initial onrush and flavour is sweet, lovely, unctuous, malty flavour. Like I said, it's very much akin to a barley wine. Lovely and deep and rich, chocolatey, malty tones and sweetness. Gorgeous, gorgeous sweetness. And then that kind of dissolves into plum and raisins, really deep and rich dark fruits. And it is remarkably fruity. It's a remarkably fruity flavour. It just does taste like you're taking a big old bite into a really thick and juicy raisin, and then it gives way to another kind of layer of sweetness, and almost kind of like a tiny bit floral almost. Yeah, like you almost get like a hop kind of like bitterness, a lovely unctuous sweetness, kind of bitterness that dries the palate out, and then the alcohol. Warm kind of alcohol flavour and aroma, and through the nose as well it kind of comes. And then at the end there's a nice smokiness that seems to develop. Nice kind of, I wouldn't want to say it's a meaty smokiness, it's like a whiskey kind of peaty smoky flavour. This has been matured in whiskey casks. I want to be right when I say that. Yes, Scottish whiskey casks, and that's the kind of Scottish whiskey cask flavour, or the peaty flavour coming through at the end there. Having said that, it's got a bit of an alcoholic whack to it, and it'll put hairs on your chest. It still feels very manageable. I'd almost say it tastes kind of like a fortified wine. Sorry, it has the kick of an alcohol of a fortified wine. It doesn't taste like a fortified wine, but it does have that layer and depth of flavour that I would kind of I would associate, but almost like a beery scent. So it's malty, this wonderful chocolatey malt, and then raisins, rich and juicy raisins, and then that alcohol warmth, and then that hop kind of bitterness, and then that smoky flavour. It's all these layers of waves of flavour coming across the tongue. And I can feel it now, the kind of alcoholic burn and warmth in the stomach. It's really delightful. Might be able to see a bit more about what I was talking about there. That's it. Now you can see it. I can see it just where my eyes are in the camera. That's the wine. What's the vinous lacing, something like that. But the alcohol threads, and you see them coming down the side of the glass. It's just the kind of thing that happens with high alcoholic drinks, but it's interesting to see. It's quite a pretty, almost look kind of pretty in the glass really. And now that I've drunk a little bit, you might be able to see it's not as pitch black as I thought it was. There is actually quite a lot more light coming through it. This glass obviously flutes quite heavily, and it's a lot thicker at the top, so it's nowhere near as opaque as I thought. It's actually quite a lot more see-through. So yeah, I've described the flavours. And do you know what? It's absolutely lovely. It's so much layering and depth. I really enjoy this. It's lovely. You can't drink it like you can a normal beer, obviously, and maybe you won't be able to enjoy it the same as you would a normal beer. It's not going to be refreshing. It's not going to be something that you can sit and have a nice session in front of the TV, have a nice swig of it. Not even you can do that with an Abbey triple or something like that, or a quadruple, or a barley wine, or another high percentage beer. You know, something between 7 to 11 and maybe a little bit higher. You won't be able to enjoy it in the same sense as you can that. But as like a finisher for the night, or a little bit of a treat, or something special, something you really want to devote a bit of time to just sup and enjoy, and you do have to sup it and enjoy it. I wouldn't want to neck this. I wouldn't want to just shot it down like you can with some spirits. It just demands that you spend some more time with it. And in that sense, I feel it almost beats some very famous distilled spirit, shall we say, because it has so much more depth of character and flavour to it. It is so akin to good quality brandies and whiskies in that sense that it's remarkable that no one's really done it before. Technologically wise, yeah, that's probably the right phrase. Technologically? I guess technologically, let's put it that way, you wouldn't have been able to get a beer this strength unless you lived in the Arctic and by some weird experimentation you managed to do it. Until very recently, you wouldn't have been able to do this kind of strength of beer, but now it's been done. It's like a whole world's just opened up of possibilities for beers of this percentage to be made. This is an uber imperial stout, but who's to say you couldn't do this with other beer styles? You'd have to use a massive malt body, malt load. I would assume to be able to get it to this percentage. But why couldn't you try it with other malts as well, or different speciality malts, maybe some smoked malts or something like that? But this is so enjoyable. It's absolutely lovely. I am very, very tempted to give this a full 10 out of 10 because this is the first beer I've ever tried that is so fantastically wonderful and remarkable, and it's such a world away. If you got a lager and then you had this and you said these are the same ingredients, these are the same base ingredients, just this one's got something in it that's been roasted for a little bit longer and then it's been put through all these processes, and this one's just a very light, very lightly malted barley that's made this. You just couldn't. I don't see how you could equate the two. You know, it's something. It's crazy. It really is. But as such, this is the first one I've tried of the super high ABV beers. I haven't tried Sink the Bismarck. I know you can still get that at BrewDog bars. There is one in Leeds nearby, which I was at the BrewDog bar a couple of days ago, and I didn't want to try it unless I had a camera with me because I want to review something. I want to, if I'm doing a review for YouTube, I want to be the first time I try something, really. So I'll give that a shot sometime. So I need to leave a little bit of leeway. And I haven't tried the End of History, which is BrewDog's 50-something% beer, and I haven't tried this other Scottish brewery, which I can't remember the name of, 57-58% beer either. So 9.5. I'm erring on the side of caution. I shall not give something a perfect 10 until I've tried many other beers in its style. This is a 9.5 beer. I genuinely mean it. It's phenomenal. It's just such a complex flavour that is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So removed from what you'd have when you have a normal beer. It really is an experience, and it's an experience that I really enjoy, and thank you BrewDog for having the balls to make something that's just ridiculously good like this. I defy someone to try and drink this. The price barrier alone should put you off it, but I defy someone to try and drink this like an all beer, like a buffoon, because this is just absolutely demands that you spend some time trying it. So go out. They've got a batch out right now. If you're watching this review as soon as I upload it, you should be able to see that they have a batch currently out. See if you can get your hands on a bottle. If not, keep your eyes open. I would assume this is probably the second or third batch of it. They'll probably make it again. Give it a try. It's well worth it. So, like, favourite, comment, subscribe, share it. Tell me what you think if you've tried it, if you think it's horrible and it's something that should never be done and it's sacrilege, or if you're like me and this is it's just a whole different dimension of beer and it's fascinating and exciting, then tell me. And if you want to try some, then get yourself over to my house. I'm not going to tell you where I live though. Cheers guys, bye bye.